Hello and welcome to Winter Disco Tabletop Gaming. It is time for another online preview, and this week it is for Dominion Celebration, where Dominion is released, it's out there, and just to keep the hype train going, Games Workshop have shown off a whole bunch of new models for the Stormcast and the Kruleboyz. So that's what we're going to check out today. Firstly, let's talk about the new Battletomes. So we have the Auric Warclans and the Stormcast Eternals. Apparently these are slightly different now. With the Auric Warclans, it includes a lot of stuff other than goblins and things. I think there's a few goblins in there. And then the Stormcast Eternals include everything that you need for Stormcast Eternals. With the Auric Warclans, you can see in the image there that you're going to get the Kruleboyz in there and also the Ironjaws and some of the other ones too. Makes sense that these two are the first ones. They're going to be coming out, I think sometime in August, I think they've said. You also get a code for the new Warhammer Age of Sigmar app, which is going to head into beta later this year. So we've got the books, that's awesome. But let's just get stuck into the models. The first ones we're going to look at are the new miniatures for the Stormcast Eternals. If you're familiar with how 40k rolled out Indomitus and then the starter sets, we are going to be seeing essentially the same kind of rollout. So you've got Dominion, which equals Indomitus. Then you have the starter sets, which have the mono pose, push fit, or easy to build ones that you get in Dominion in those three starter set boxes. I'm assuming there'll be three. But of course, there's also going to be multi-part versions, as you saw with the Space Marines. With the Assault Intercessors, you had like a multi-part kit that was released later. And also with the Eradicators, they were released later as well. So this is kind of the same sort of release as what we're seeing. So the models are kind of the same, but you can build them in different ways, which, I mean, it makes sense. It was a rollout that works for 40k. So let's just replicate it in Age of Sigmar. But now onto some of the heroes. We have Lord Commander Bastian Cathalos. He's the leader of the Hammer of Sigmar. Let's just say there's been a lot of gushing about this model online, definitely on Twitter. A few people been like, oh, hi, hello there. He's pretty chunky. Looks like he means business. You get this you get a feeling of power and determination that he's going to swing that hammer and knock your head off. I'm loving the cloak, not just the paint job. I'll talk about the paint job in a second when we have a look at some of the shots, but just the overall chunkiness of this armor. He's very thick boy, and thick as in muscular. The leg armor, even the forearm armor is just so huge. And we do have some close-ups as well. I'm loving the paint job on the cloak. Obviously, you're gonna have to paint that on. I think it's a really cool idea, going with the whole stars and things like that, which very much tied into the mythology of Sigmar and everything about the Stormcast. You also get a loadout of a different head and also a different way of holding the hammer. He has like the double-handed hammer that you can hold with two hands or just with one hand and striding forward. I prefer the striding forward one without holding the hammer in both hands. I think that's really nice. And he's not alone. We have a new one called the Knight's Relictor. So he's sort of like a cleric, almost a chaplain, Space Marine chaplain. There is a lot of crossover, I guess, here. You can really equate, be like, oh, this model is this model. This Stormcast model is this Space Marine model. And this one is very much like a chaplain or even a justiciar. And I'm only thinking this because of the skulls, because of the mace, because of the black cloak. It just seems to fit like that. Someone who is very religious as well, like the support with prayers to the God King Sigmar. So, I don't think it's really that unobvious, to be honest. I love the black cloak, but again, this comes down to the paint job in that it really breaks up all that gold. And gold and black seem to go together really well. So I'm a fan of that. The helmet or masked face is much more scowly than other Stormcast models, which definitely seems to suit this. And this probably has the most skulls on it out of all of them. I think it's a cool model. Like I said, I feel like this is a chaplain. It fulfills that thematic role. We'll see. We haven't seen the rules. We don't know exactly what it is, but I just get that feeling just because of the cloak, the skulls, and all of that stuff, and the idea that they're a spiritual leader. So now we get the Vanquishers. These have celestial great swords. So we've got a few on screen. Yeah, it's still sort of the same model design as the new Stormcast, which I think is a lot better than the old one. This one just feels more human, more agile. The older Stormcast felt like they were just suits of armor rather than people in it. And I think I've said this before. I even thought early on that's what they were, because we didn't see any faces. We only had the same masks. They felt like magical armor. But now these ones have much more of a human natural feel. And of course you get faces like this female face. And I love how there's a mix of male and female. I think that's such a good idea. So we've got the double broadswords there. Great swords, not broadswords. I like it. So then we get some more ranged ones. These are the Vigilors. So I'm a little confused by these ones. Yeah, they fire arrows, but they also got a sword. So how do they load out an arrow in their bow? I don't know. Really, they're just the same armor models, just with bows. A lot of dynamic posing in them as well. And we also have a command rock because, Command rocks are a must. I think overall, these are a new design and they're moving all the existing range to that. And it makes sense. I'm hoping that these kits do come with a lot of different heads. It looks like they do. I think that will definitely pay off. So you get all of them, not so much unique, but individual in a way. We also get a kit for the Annihilators, which will include two-handed meteoric grand hammers. Boy, we got one of those on screen, like giant hammers. So these are likely going to be multi-part kits opposed to the monopose kits that you get in Dominion. Again, really not much to say about it. Looks like you can build them out in two different ways. So with the single hand hammer and shield, and then the double-handed hammer. So it gets you a little few options there. So that's all we got for Stormcast. I mean, that's all we've got, really. We've seen so many. There's also like the chariot as well that we've seen previously. And I think there was another character model. So let's move on to the new Kruleboyz. When I say new, like the Kruleboyz have just come out. They're still new, but we have some more ones. And seriously, I love where they've gone with this. This is just, they've just gone grossness. And you just get this feeling that all these things just stink and smell and are just disgustingly gross. First up, we have Swamp Boss Scumdrak. So they're saying he's a legend among the Kruleboyz, and he is riding what we call just reading the text here, Sludge Raker Beast, which is disgusting. It looks so cool. It looks like something out of the Dark Crystal. Definitely get that feeling from the face. It's not, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. And he's up there riding it, all like just so much little tiny bits of detail. It's like they've been given permission. Just make crazy stuff. Go a bit crazy. Long claws and fingernails. Ooh. I love the mirroring of the beast with his front arm outstretched with the claws, and then Scumdrak also got his hand out with his claws on there. Really cool. It looks like he's got like a man catcher as well, so he's gonna go out and try and get people into his cage. Yeah, just all the detail. Like around his chest, he's got some keys for some reason. That's for the cages, obviously. But it's just a really nice touch. All these little tiny things that you don't have to put in there, but they do. And the cage itself, like this weird bent metal that they've probably scavenged from all over the place and beaten till it's made a cage. It's a really nice kit. And that beast's face and all of the little notches in the wood, all the bits of different leather and fabrics and materials. Yeah, like it just looks like it's so much fun to paint. Even with contrast paint, you're gonna throw it on and it's gonna look okay. But you can also build it out as a snatch boss. So it's the same beast, looks like it has a different head, but sitting on top is a snatcher, is that what we're gonna call him? Snatch boss? Snatcher bosses. That's what they're called, snatcher boss. Okay, weird. But this one, he has a chain and hook on it to hook people in to get him into the cage. I don't really know what they're gonna do with them when they catch them, but I love the idea. So it's a kit where you can build out in two ways, which I think is really good. I love kits that have versatility with them. You can build them in varying different ways to get different kinds of models. So let's move on to the best model that's been released. Marsh Crawler Sloggoth and a bunch of grots, 3 grots on top. They're going to catch people out. Firstly, the Swamp Crawler is just disgusting with his droopy ears. Very much a theme, not so much droopy ears, throughout the Kruleboyz range of things that hang down, which is very much, I would assume, and I've always felt this, it's from like moss and organic matter hanging down from trees into like the swamp and dank ponds, I mean, things like that. But these crafty grots have been able to get a chariot on the back of this fella and just run around beating drums, catching people and chopping off hands. It almost looks like a little boat. I think that would be kind of cool. You put that in on the water, be a little tiny boat. I love the idea of them using creatures as transport rather than mechanically built and designed things. They're like, no, we're going to catch you and throw something on you, and now you're ours. We're going to ride around. We've also got a lot of close-ups. They got a couple of guys that can throw nets. So it looks like there's a few different ways you can build. You can build out with the big man catcher holes or with nets. Either one. Maybe you could do both. Who knows? And of course, we're getting 2 different releases from the Dominion box. So we're getting the Gut Rippers, and they also get a new option. So these are probably going to be in multi-part kits, as they've done previously with the Indomitus release. And they have an awesome banner. It's probably made out of skin. And of course, they've got the shields. You got to have the shields. Yeah, I mean, they're pretty much the same kit, just multi-part. And they all look somewhat unique, which I really do enjoy. I think that's something that you need for this army, that all their leathers and weapons and armor has to be slightly different. And we also get multi-part kit for Manskewer Bolt Boys, including a new Bolt Boy boss, which is this fella on screen. So he has this awesome looking banner on his back, because we know I love banners, so I'll definitely be building him like this. And I love the Manskewer's giant bolt guns from a medieval perspective, where it's an actual bolt of metal rather than an explosive that you shoot at someone and explodes. There's a lot of detail in there. It's like they've spent a lot of time working on this range. But we also do get the news. So we know that this is going to come out in August. Also should say there's probably going to be some more models too. Pre-order in August for these 2 Battletomes, and I'm assuming models as well. And then in October, there's going to be something a little more chaos flavored. No don't know what that is. They're just saying it's going to be chaos flavored. Who knows? Could be demons, could be a whole bunch of different stuff. There we go. Some cool stuff coming up. That's where I'm going to leave this video. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite of the new models is going to be. I love the Grot Rider. I'm going to go with that. Like this video if you have enjoyed it, because it definitely helps the channel and getting videos shared around. And I'll catch you in another video. See you later.